Hello, welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about some emulators whose development has stagnated, either because they no longer bring new features or performance improvements, or because they've simply been left behind. It's important to note that this is a personal opinion, and if you have your own list or want to comment on any emulator mentioned, your input is more than welcome. We'll discuss emulators that are stuck in time but not necessarily abandoned projects. For those interested, I'll leave a comprehensive list of emulators for almost any console in the description, published by Derek Turturro. All credits for this list go to him, and I'll use it as a reference. The gameplay shown for each project is illustrative and not always captured on the emulators mentioned. Let's start by talking about a project that has undoubtedly brought joy to many, ZSNES. This emulator has a strong connection with the 90s, back when we saved emulators on floppy disks to transfer them between PCs, in an era when having internet at home was a luxury. ZSNES is a Super Nintendo emulator, and according to Derek's list, its development has continued until today, though its last update was in 2007. I'm not even sure if it's compatible with X-input joysticks, which are the most popular on the market today. Nevertheless, it still works on modern operating systems, providing an acceptable experience, or, at the very least, serving as a nostalgic reminder for those wanting to revisit its classic menu. It's currently available for Windows, Linux, and even MS-DOS. Another interesting project is SSF, a Sega Saturn emulator. Its latest version was released in 2017 and offers only a basic experience with the console, without graphical upscaling or texture improvements. Some still consider it one of the best projects for the console, despite it never leaving the beta stage. It provided stable gameplay, though it had some sound issues. Nowadays, there's no reason to use it since there are much better options available. SSF is a Windows-exclusive emulator. I believe many people still use this next emulator without knowing that it's practically abandoned, ePSXe, a PlayStation 1 emulator. Its Windows version is completely outdated, being one of the few emulators on this list that still uses the plug-in system, which brings more incompatibilities and issues for the user to solve before starting to play. Its last major update for PC was in 2016. After that, it only received small updates for the Android version, mainly due to Google's policy, which requires developers to update apps to avoid demonetization on Google Play. ePSXe has versions for Windows, Mac, Linux, and a paid version for Android. Currently, the only reason to use it would be the lack of a PC powerful enough to run DuckStation, which is one of the best emulators ever released, with automated features that eliminate almost all manual configurations. Besides, DuckStation is free on Android. DraStic, the best Nintendo DS emulator available, is unfortunately only for Android. Previously, it was a paid emulator, but after Nintendo sued Yuzu, DraStic's developer decided to make it free on the Play Store to avoid potential legal issues in the future. He even stated that he plans to remove the emulator soon, so I recommend downloading it now if you want to play DS in the future. Although the project is not effectively abandoned, its last update was in 2023, and even the Discord community seems somewhat abandoned, with no news or promises of improvements. Another project that went a long time without updates and received only a small update this year, but has already been idle again, is Citra MMJ. For those who don't know, Citra MMJ is a 3DS emulator focused on performance. This year, it received a single update that added the Antutu trick, allowing Android to recognize it as a benchmark app, unlocking the full power of the device to improve the emulator's performance. After this update in May, the project went on pause again, with no updates scheduled. Citra MMJ is available only for Android, and there are already great alternatives like Line 3DS and the promising Azure, which promise to offer better functionality and support on modern devices. In the emulation of the original Xbox, we have two projects that were very popular in 2022, with several monthly improvements, but are now completely stalled, with no news on future updates. The first is ZSNES, which is still, without a doubt, the best of the two. Recently, it brought only a save state-like function and promised Vulkan rendering. However, there are several steps that the team needs to fix before launching a functional Vulkan API for everyone. ZSNES is known for inflating its compatibility list. For example, Project Gotham Racing is listed as playable on the website, but when I tested it, even at 1x resolution, the sound was broken and the gameplay was slow. So, if the game gets to the in-game stage, they consider it playable. Currently, ZSNES suffers from performance issues, audio glitches, and a lack of news or performance improvements. I promise to bring a Vulkan API test soon. xchiefkiev Reloaded is in an even worse situation, with a compatibility list of only 166 games since 2022. This will be the third consecutive year without performance improvements or fixes for incompatible games. Although games run with better performance than in Xenia, the accuracy is much lower. xchiefkiev Reloaded went from a promising emulator in 2022 to something almost forgotten. It still receives frequent updates, but none have significantly resolved the existing issues. Although the original Xbox had hardware similar to a PC of the time, equipped with a Pentium 3 processor and an Nvidia GPU, practical emulation turns out to be much more challenging than it seems. Another project that hasn't received any updates for quite a while is Redream. It's one of the best Dreamcast emulators available, but it restricts crucial options like resolution upscaling to the paid version. Available on various platforms, it's in an excellent state, running almost the entire Dreamcast library, but still needs improvements. I believe Redream is just on a temporary pause and will be updated again soon. For those who think the emulator has no more room for improvement, just look at what Flycast did in its latest update. It completely revamped the interface, making it more intuitive and modern, and added automations like widescreen hacks and better controller configuration. Overall, I recommend Flycast, which not only runs Naomi arcade games but also offers all its features for free. The MyPS2 was an emulator that appeared on the Play Store this year and gained the attention of many users. It emerged as an alternative to NetherSX2, which in turn is the successor to EtherSX2. One of its main advantages was the ability to automatically configure the emulator, but it lacked basic options. After an update that brought some of these features, the project simply disappeared, leaving PlayStation 2 emulation on Android without active support again. There are rumors that someone is working on a new project based on EtherSX2, which could be a major breakthrough for Android. While there is no concrete information, all we can do is wait. Now we enter the most controversial part of the video, RPCS3. Although it receives constant updates, there have been no significant performance gains since the beginning of 2023. It's worth mentioning that the emulator spent most of 2023 and early 2024 focusing on implementing the PlayStation 3 home menu, justifying this decision as a matter of historical preservation. However, most users don't care about the home menu. What really matters are the PS3 exclusives and AAA games. Unfortunately, the emulator still requires high-performance CPUs to run these titles and seems to be stuck at a point where developers no longer know what to do to improve its compatibility and performance. Xenia, or Xenia Canary, is an Xbox 360 emulator that peaked in 2022 alongside RPCS3. Accuracy has never been Xenia's strong point, but unlike RPCS3, it managed to run some of the Xbox 360's main exclusives and games that, until then, were not available on PC. Examples include the Gears of War saga, the original Red Dead Redemption, and even games ahead of their time like Forza Horizon 1. However, overall, Xenia has always lagged behind RPCS3. It exhibited lower accuracy in most games and had a smaller compatibility list. Xenia's issues go beyond this. It has been working on Vulkan API implementation since 2022, but this API is still not usable, causing various graphical and performance issues. As a result, its only functional graphical API remains DirectX 12, the same one used during the Xbox 360's late lifecycle. Since I started this channel in early 2022, Xenia has had only one significant performance improvement, which resulted in 50% to 90% better performance depending on the game. However, after this milestone, the project has not seen any relevant updates or substantial advancements. Following a similar trajectory to RPCS3, we have Vita 3K, the PlayStation Vita emulator. Although it started promisingly, running several games, it has almost stopped receiving major improvements. This is especially evident in the Android version, which has been stuck at version 12 since June. This update brought several regressions, including incompatibility with many Snapdragon processors, which are the most popular on Android. While the project still has a lot to evolve, it currently runs only light games and some remakes. Its development, especially on Android, is completely stalled. Lastly, we have the newest addition to the list, Sudachi, which is also involved in some controversies. There are accusations that Sudachi only copied fixes from Ryujinx, and with Ryujinx's closure, it would have lost its main source of innovations. Regardless of what you believe, the Sudachi developer got into conflicts with other developers and communities, often described as inaccessible and uncommunicative. This culminated in direct attacks on him from the emulation community. In response, the developer announced he would release only one more farewell update. The final version of Sudachi, 1.0.11, ended up being full of regressions, making the 1.0.10 version more viable. With the release of new games like Princess Peach Showtime, Shadows Generations, Dragon Quest III Remake, and others, Sudachi lost relevance and was quickly surpassed by emulators like Citra and Torzu. Before we wrap up, let's talk about some honorable mentions. But before that, if you enjoyed the video so far, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with future content. NetherSX2, as mentioned earlier, is the successor to EtherSX2, whose development was also interrupted due to issues with the community. Nether brought significant advancements, implementing the best updates from PCSX2 for Android and even developing exclusive features, such as a database to automatically configure controls on Android. Unfortunately, the developers seem to have abandoned the project's ports. Currently, there is no news about a new version, and the last update was released in June, following a period when updates were being released almost quarterly. Lastly, we have Strato. There were strong rumors that it would be released mid-year, but the development team announced that they were not yet ready to make it available. Since then, we've seen some showcases showing parts of the emulator's progress, which still doesn't surpass Yuzu but indicates that advancements are being made. There's also the possibility that the team is avoiding sharing progress due to recent issues with Nintendo. Currently, mentioning both Switch and Android games in the same YouTube video title can lead to a high chance of Nintendo taking down videos from your channel, which has caused concern among many content creators. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for your viewership, and see you next time.